already been killed, those numbers are likely to increase. Now, Israel's defense minister said today that they decided to return to the fighting after Hamas refused to release those remaining hostages. But Hamas said that Israel's airstrikes are a violation of that ceasefire that, as I mentioned, was reached about 2 months ago in late January. Now, the White House said last night that the Israelis had consulted them before they returned to the fighting in the Gaza Strip. But, all of this calls into question the fate of those remaining hostages in Gaza, including the only living American hostage, 21-year-old Edan Alexander. But there's also, the Israelis believe, about 59 remaining hostages in the Gaza Strip. But they've said that about 35 of those have already been killed. Craig?
Matt Bradley Force there in Tel Aviv. Matt, thank you.
President Trump and Russian President Vladimir Putin speaking by phone this morning about a possible 30-day ceasefire in Ukraine. Kyiv has already agreed to the plan, but Putin has cast doubts about it. NBC's chief foreign correspondent Richard Engel is in Ukraine with the very latest for us. Richard, good morning.
Good morning, Laura. Ukrainians are very concerned that this conversation between President Trump and President Putin will not just focus on this 30-day ceasefire, that a bait and switch is underway, that things have evolved dramatically. This was initially supposed to be about a cessation of hostilities. That's what Ukraine accepted under duress. That's what President Trump and President Putin were supposed to be talking about. Laying down the guns, stopping firing for 30 days in order to buy time for more final status conversations, for an end of conflict negotiated process. But now, when you listen to President Trump, he says that most of these big issues have already worked out and that he wants to speak later today with President Putin about land, about the division of some assets, about power plants, things that are far beyond the original scope. And when Ukrainians hear division of assets, they can only think that President Putin and President Trump are going to be dividing up this country, dividing up Ukraine. And here they feel they have very little influence over this process as these two men in the next couple of hours talk over the phone, potentially discussing Ukraine's future borders and its future security arrangements in the world, including NATO and within the EU.
Sure, we know you'll be keeping a close eye. Thank you.
Well, now to a heart-stopping close call for a driver on a Maryland highway. His dash cam capturing the moment that he narrowly avoided a head-on crash with an airborne car. So take a look at the left side of your screen there. You can see a car hit a barrier and then it flies into oncoming traffic. Larry Fink says he swerved into the right lane just in time. That airborne car missing him by just 3 feet. Thankfully, no one was seriously hurt. Police say the driver of that car was taken into custody. At this point, we don't know what charges he's facing, though.
Wow. Now to an NBC News exclusive. Following those fires in Los Angeles, a California lawmaker is introducing new legislation aimed at helping save pets left behind during natural disasters. Now, this bill is inspired by that viral video you might have seen. Oreo the dog, whose owner spent days trying to find him after his home burned down. NBC's Liz Kreutz was there for their emotional reunion. She talked to him originally. She joins us now with more. Liz, good morning.